Hi friends, an awesome lore video for you Apex Legends fans today. We're going to cover all of the planets in the lore of Apex so far up to season 25. I'll focus on the planets in the Outlands as that's where the Apex games is situated at the moment. Let's start with our first planet, and it's the location of Kings Canyon, which is where we first went to for the Apex games. Kings Canyon is an area located on the planet Solace. Solace is the second planet from the sun, and it has a warm, dry climate with a large covering of desert and mountains. The planet is currently part of the Syndicate Treaty and therefore under Syndicate control. It's home to a number of our legends including Gibraltar, Mirage, Watson, and even Fade and Rhapsody. You can see here on this map view where Kings Canyon sits on Solace. The location used to host the Thunderdome games, which was a previous incarnation of the Apex games. Cuban Blisk was in fact a champion of the Thunderdome games, as was August Brinkman, whom you'll now know as Ballistic. You can see a few other areas on Kings Canyon, with the most notable being Solace City. This is where the Paradise Lounge is located, aka Mirage's bar. Although the Apex games don't have a specific arena in Solace City, it is an important place for the legends. They often hang out there around Mirage's bar, and it also has a lot of history. It's the first place where Mirage and Pathfinder met, and it's also where the Syndicate is based. They've got their Syndicate Tower headquarters there, serving as the Syndicate's main base of operations on Solace. If we look at the map view again, you can see Coma there. This is the location of Party Crasher, which is where Mirage's original Voyage crashed down, and they made a deal there with the owner to use that as a location for the arenas. You'll also see on the map of Solace, Eelhead Bay. This is where Watson was originally from before she moved to Kings Canyon with her father, Luke Paquette. You can see Little Mouse on the map. This is where the Gibraltar family is from, and they have deep family roots from that region. One you don't see on the map, but is also in Solace, is Harris Valley. This is a small town founded by those widowed and orphaned or left behind by the IMC after the Frontier Wars, hence the heavy anti-IMC sentiment. It's also the area Jackson Williams now lives with his family, and where he's assumed the mantle of Newcastle, whom is the main figurehead for Harris Valley. So that's Solace. Let's move on to Psamathe now. Psamathe is a more established planet, and it's known for being home to some of the most wealthy and morally questionable people across the Outlands. In terms of our legends, it's the home of Octane, Lifeline, and Horizon, as well as being the place where Pathfinder was created. One of the more notable locations on Psamathe is Olympus. This is where the Apex games takes place, which used to be a floating city on Psamathe, although after the actions of Eduardo Silva, it's not so much floating anymore. The city was founded by Lillian Peck, and also the location where the Iris Project refined Baranthium to essentially save the power struggles across the Outlands. To go with that though, it's also the location of the sad Phase Runner incident where many amazing minds lost their lives. No thanks to Ash, of course. Sticking with Psamathe though, Malta is another location you'll be familiar with. It's where the Hammond Manufacturing Tower, codenamed Drop-Off, is located, and this has recently been turned into an arenas location, which you'll know is used for mixtape and arenas. You'll know the more built up areas of Malta being the location where Pathfinder first met Victor Maldera. Moving on to our next planet, we've got Talos. Talos was the second planet the Apex games went to. It's a volcanic planet which is famously home to Bloodhound. There was an incident early on which led to the death of many workers on Talos, including Bloodhound's parents. And this would lead to eventually the Apex games coming here and the Syndicate taking over to try and stabilise the planet. It is rich in a rare mineral called Baranthium though, and that's why the Syndicate have set up large machinery across World's Edge, not only to try and stabilise it, but to also be able to extract this valuable mineral. A few other locations you might be familiar with on Talos are Phase Runner, which is a prototype Phase Runner located at the peak of the mountain, and it's sometimes used as an arenas map and a mixtape map. You might also be familiar with Hephaestia Station, also known as Overflow. It's an automatic Baranthium processing station located among magma flows on Talos. Let's move on to our next planet. We've got Gaia. Now this is a planet with a large urban base, as well as many farming areas. It's the home planet to Ballistic, Caustic, Crypto, and Rampart. Gaia is a lot stricter with rules and laws compared to many of the other planets in the Outlands. This is because they're one of the few planets in the Outlands with their own police force, known as the GGTF, which stands for the Gaia Global Task Force. This just so happens to be the same police force that arrested Vantage's mother, Xenia, and it was their detention ship that crashed on Pagos, leaving Xenia and Vantage stranded there. Now, the Apex games have multiple locations on Gaia. One of the few planets where they do have multiple locations. We've got Storm Point, which was the first of these locations, and this was a former IMC research base located on a tropical island, and it's also the location where the first IMC Hestia crashed down, and that's the ship that brought Bangalore and Jackson to the Outlands. Some of the other familiar locations on Gaia are Habitat 4, and this map you'll know serves as one of the arena maps, used for the arena games, but also mixtape. Another area of Gaia you'll be familiar with is Suotamo. It's one of the most recognisable cities in the Outlands, and it takes a number of cues from Angel City, which is in the core systems in the Frontier. Suotamo is also one of the more recent locations for the Apex games, when the Syndicate came in and brought the Apex games to Suotamo, taking over E-District after a Humbert Labs gas leak caused by Alta in a confrontation with Horizon led to the residents of E-District having to be evacuated. A few other notable Gaia locations are Zaldana City, which is where Alexander Knox, aka Caustic, was presumed to be dead, and also Hollygrove, where Caustic was born, as well as the Amelia mountain range where Carthage spiders are found, and they're the ones that release that extremely toxic gas, but they also happen to be the ones that help the Legends cure all those sick people after the Legacy Antigen incident. Let's move on to Boreas now. Boreas is a planet with a large textile industry, hence the common association with moths through its history. In 2708, a meteor struck its moon Clio, shaving off a significant portion of its moon landmass. The deterioration of this moon has caused many issues across Boreas, the main issue being the number of natural disasters that the damage to the moon is causing to Boreas, and it said Boreas will be uninhabitable in 50 to 70 years due to that damage. Now, the Syndicate used this as an opportunity to step in to try and stabilize the moon, and they used this to then bring the Apex games to the moon Clio by using it as a game's location. Now, many locals, including Catalyst, were questioning whether the Syndicate were really there to try and help Boreas and save the moon, or were they there to in fact mine the natural resources and take advantage of the moon to make profit. In terms of legends, both Seer and Catalyst are from Boreas. Now, aside from Clio, probably the only other location you'll know of from Boreas is Chickham, which is an area known for being the location of Encore, which is used by the Apex games for their arena matches and also mixtape. Moving on to our next planet, we've got Salvo. It's a desert planet, previously one of the independent fringe worlds, that became one of the more recent planets to join the Syndicate space. They had this famous bone cage arena, which was kind of like a free-for-all fighting arena that kind of resembled the OG Thunderdome games. It's where Fuse made his name before he joined the Apex games. Now, the final few planets in the Outlands we have slightly less knowledge on. We have Pagos, where Vantage grew up with her mother. It would appear to be a barren ice planet full of dangerous wildlife and bats due to the way Vantage and Xenia kept themselves segregated. Having said that, it is also believed there are populations that do live there, given Mad Maggie was caught on Pagos trying to rile up the fringes, as it was said, which essentially means she was trying to gather support from the people on Pagos. In addition to Pagos, we've got Nexus. This is the home planet of Conduit. It has a war-torn history, seemingly made up of farming villages, and one such village witnessed a Titan battle where a Monarch Titan heroically sacrificed itself to wipe out an army of approaching Titans. That Titan then became a symbol of hope on Nexus, although the nuclear fallout from its sacrifice was causing many issues. A fun fact for Nexus, it takes 3.5 days to travel from Nexus to the Syndicate space, showing just how far away it is from the other planets. So those are the main planets we know about. There are a couple of others that we don't have really any knowledge of. The first of those is Tartarus. It is a Syndicate planet and it's said to be very dangerous, and both Octane and Loba refused to talk about it when Pathfinder was asking them questions. The only other fringe world we know about is Raffi. Again, we don't really know much about it, apart from it's supposedly a small planet in the Outlands. And there you have it. That's the lore behind the planets we've got in the Apex games at the moment up to Season 25. Hopefully you found this interesting. For now though, thank you for watching my lore videos. Go check out my other ones on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.